would like to welcome you to the yoga practice. And today our practice will be devoted to articulate the movement of the spine. So we will start the practice in a horizontal position, Shavasana position on the mat. So make sure you are comfortably setting the body. And what is important is to create the support for the back of the head so your neck feels comfortable, so you don't feel like your head is falling back too low. So maybe a couple of layers of a blanket or a couple of layers of towel will help you to elevate the back of the head so the neck is in a neutral curvature. And then play also with the position of the pelvis. Maybe some of you will need to bend the knees and set the feet flat on the mat to adjust the pelvis position. But if you're comfortable with the straight legs, you might keep your straight legs. And you're setting your arms on the side of the body in a comfortable way. Palms up or palms down. Ideally, we would like to have palms up, but just check what's working for you. If you like to keep your eyes gently closed, just keep all the facial muscles relaxed. You definitely can do that. And let us take a couple of exhales just to relax. The start of the practice, even if it's an early morning, but if you're practicing in the afternoon, you might feel a bit of overwhelmed with emotions and thoughts that rush in your mind. So you would like to use those first couple of exhales as their tool to set the mind to be connected to the body. And here we are cultivating the rhythmic, steady breathing. And while you are exhaling, I would invite you to feel how those exhalations helping you to relax the torso and all the muscles of the back toward the earth, toward the mat, and letting your spine to settle into the natural curvature. If you like to visualize your spine as the rope with the knots, where each knot is the vertebrae, and just letting those knots to be released toward the floor. So it's a very relaxed position. So if you need any adjustment, you would like to do it now. And after the setting on the mat comfortably and setting the breath into the rhythm that's comfortable, start connecting to the movement of the rib cage on expansion on inhale and relaxation on exhale. Allowing your belly to expand on inhale, allowing your belly to collapse on exhale. We'll have here 5 more breaths to get all those connection to the body, to be able to continue this connection, to be able to be fully focused on sensations that will arise in the movement we will practice. Taking another exhale, and then just allow yourself to bend your knees if you didn't have them, and set your feet on the width of the mat. And keep them wide, Even if you like, you can have your feet on the floor, on the edges, out of the edges of the mat. And then take your arms in T position. And from here, let's drop the knees to the left. And as you drop in the knees to the left, notice how your right hip comes off the floor. So you're creating a little bit of rotation in the lower part of the body, while the upper part of the body, your back of the head and your shoulder blades are on the mat, still stick to the mat. So just connect to the whole right side of the body. And then from here, extend your left leg, so your left leg now straight, and move your right knee a little bit further to the right. So you're creating a little bit more of a rotation of the lower body. Maybe now your pelvis is completely coming off the mat, peeling off the mat. So you maybe just lying on the left side of the left hip, while the right shoulder you would like to keep still on the floor. So we're exploring very gently the ability of their spinal rotation here. So just to hold here a little bit. Very often we're using this position to complete the practice, and here we are starting with this twist. So just checking how gently we can rotate the body. Taking another exhale, and then just release the right leg and return back to the midline. So set your feet back into the same position. Feet are on the edges of the mat, arms are in T position. So body and the spine returns back to the midline of the mat, and then drop the knees to the right. So first we're just exploring this very gentle twist where you might be a little bit tight in your left hip. And that's okay, because the left hip not really love to be in internal rotation. So that might be everything feels like very tight on the left side of the body. Just check it here. And your shoulders are still on the floor. And then we're going to be extending. So the right leg goes into straight position, and you continue with the left knee a little bit further to the right. So maybe adjusting the hip. So I need to adjust my right hip to return back to the midline to continue with my left leg going across the body, while the left shoulder remains on the floor. So twist in the other side. And just hold here for the moment, noticing maybe a little bit more tightness on this side to rotate. So a very gentle rotation of the lower part of the body when the upper part of the body remains flat on the mat. Take an exhale and then return back to the midline, adjusting the pelvis, adjusting your legs. You might extend your legs if that's working for you. And now here, take your right arm across and rotate toward the reaching to your left wrist. So maybe you can hold the left wrist, so peeling the right shoulder off the floor. But while you're trying to keep your hips as flat on the floor as possible. And what I want you to figure out, how much you can rotate the upper body while your lower body remains flat. So rotation of the upper part of the spine here. So just feel how tight it feels along the right arm, right triceps, right shoulder. So hold here for another exhale, and then release the arms back in T position. And let us try to go to the other side. So going with the left arm across and reaching to the right wrist, peeling your left shoulder off the floor while you're trying to keep your hips flat. So it's a pretty challenging here, right? So the body weight of the upper body trying to hold us on the floor. So you feel quite a bit of an interesting sensation along the left triceps and the left shoulder. And return back to the center. Now let us bend the knees toward the chest and rock from side to side, just to release the lower back a little bit, and then place your feet back to the floor. like you go into the bridge, and that's what we will go. We're going to go a gradual bridge elevation of the hips. So, but we're going to first play a little bit with the pelvis. So we're going to be going into the pelvic tilt. So lifting the pubic bone and slightly lifting the tailbone off the floor while pressing the lower back flat to the floor, and then releasing, creating the space between the lower back and the mat. And then again, lift, so pubic bone up, pressing the midsection of the body down to the floor, and then release. Next time, when we're gonna tilt the pelvis, we're gonna lift the hips off the floor, and we'll try to lift as high as we can, and maybe creating a little bit of a curvature. So basically, like you go in a cat and dog stretch. So you're now standing only on the shoulder blades and heels, and then try to go down, starting from the upper part of the spine. So you press in vertebra by vertebra. There is a point when you lift your pubic bone, pressing the belly down, and then as you relax, you're creating again your neutral spine position. Let's do it again. So starting with the pelvis, and the lifting is as high as you can. Maybe even you help it with the shoulder blades, bringing your arms a little bit closer, lifting, engaging the glutes to create some type of extension of the spine, and then start going from the top, slowly, one vertebra at a time, down and relax. And that's one more time, coming up. So we are activating the ability of the spine to go from the flex to extend a rotation position, and we are starting from the horizontal position now, and slowly come all the way down. And then we'll bring the knees to the chest just to help us to roll into seated position, and then immediately we're gonna come into the tabletop position. So that's in the tabletop position. Set up shoulders above the palms, and we will right away come into the cat stretch. So dropping the crown of the head down, tucking the tailbone under, and we're going to be holding this for the moment just to scan all the muscles along the spine, and maybe feeling some tension here and there. And then very slowly, like exactly how we did in the bridge position, we go in one vertebra at a time into the opposite position of the spine, into the extended position, keeping shoulders away from the ears. And then from here, I'm inviting you to go as slow as you can from one position to another position. Slower you're able to move means that more control and more mobility in the spine you have, right? So it's not moving like the whole chunk of the vertebrae, but you're able to articulate this movement slowly, gradually, understanding the true mobility of the spine. Let's go for the last time from one direction to another direction. And of course you are connecting this movement with the breath as well. Exhale here, and then returning back to neutral position. You can bring the left hand a little bit closer to the midline, and then take the right arm under the chest, send it to the left. Make sure that your right ear comes on the midline of the mat. You can adjust the left hand where it feels right, and then just push yourself backward a little bit. So again, we're creating a little bit of a spinal rotation here, and this is a locked position because the arm is on the floor. So just feel a bit of a stretch again. This time more into the back of the right shoulder. So a little bit different from what we did on the floor when we were on the back. So just to feel, while the movement almost the same, we feel different areas. And then just using the left arm, release the right arm, return back into the tabletop position. So maybe again, taking the right hand a little bit closer to the midline, taking the left arm under, adjusting the left ear to be on the midline of the mat. Press yourself back and rotate the torso. So you pressing the floor away only as far as it feels right. You might feel a stretch along the back muscles as well. Here depend where your arm is. Hold that and then very slowly return back into the tabletop position. From this tabletop position, we're going to come into the child pose, so you can adjust the knees the way it's comfortable for you, to stretch the arms forward and bring the forehead down to the floor. Hold this for the moment, and then let's walk the hands to the left, holding the right wrist. So we are this time coming into the kind of a side bend. So we are going into the lateral flexion of the spine a bit, with the hips grounding the lower part of the spine and having this space to move the head and to move the chest to create the side bend here. So that's the prone position for the body facing the floor. Taking exhale, then return back to the center, just to rest here before we go to the other side. So going to the right, maybe holding the left wrist, bringing the forehead down, and noticing how we opening and stretching the left side of the body. Noticing that might be a bit tighter. If you're right-handed, maybe the left side is a little bit more tighter. Feeling some stretch between the rib cage, intercostal muscles, and then return back to the center. Exhale. And then let us return back into the tabletop position. So set your knees a little bit closer. And from here, using the left hand as support, you slide in the right arm forward. So you bring the forehead down on the floor if you can reach. If it's not available, you can use the block to support the forehead, and you move your right arm forward. So you are creating the extension of the spine, and that also gives you ability to stretch your arm a little bit. Stretch the armpit a little bit and explore how your spine comes here into the extension, back bend, right? Because you're just coming down. So a little bit of a stretch here. Take an exhale. Let's change the arm. So you are using the right hand for support, and you're not moving your hips back. Hips remain high, but you go in with the left arm as far as it available for you, and bring the forehead down, creating this opening in the left side, creating opening in the left armpit. So feel a stretch. Exhale here. And then let's return back into the tabletop position. And this time, we're going to try to move both arms forward. That might be a challenging if you have some restrictions in your shoulders. Block could be a good help here. So you're going forward and opening the chest. So just see how that feels and how it feels in your spine. Take an exhale. So another one here, and then just bring your hands back into the tabletop position. Set your knees closer to the midline and step your right foot forward and lift the torso. So we are in this short lunge. So you have your left thigh and the right shin parallel to each other. If you feel unstable, try to move the foot a little bit wider, so you just have your support here. And in this position, I want you to have your maybe right hand on your lower back, and we're going to go into pelvic tilt here. So lifting the tailbone up, tucking the tailbone down, and I want you to notice how your glute, especially the left glute, working here to give you support. So we're going to be discussing this position of the pelvis in the next variation of the lunges. So we have a tendency to collapse in the lower back in the lunges. So in this particular one, we love to be in a neutral position. And when you next time come to the neutral position, you want to hold this neutral position. We'll take the arms wide and we'll twist to the right. And just imagine that you're holding this stick. So you're not that just your arms are moving, you want to move your shoulders above the hips that align to the front. And maybe you want to do the pulses. So just checking the twist here. Taking another exhale, return back to the center. I know you want to change the knee, and that's what we'll do. We're going to come with the right knee down, bringing the left foot to the front. Again, adjusting the distance between the foot and the knee so you're stable. Bring your left hand to your lower back and just play a little bit with the pelvis position to notice how your abdomen muscles, lower abdomen muscles, and the glute helping you to adjust the pelvis. Right, so go in here a couple of times. And next time when you come into the neutral position, you hold in this neutral position, taking the arms wide, and we're going to twist to the left. And if you like, you can pulse here. It always feels good. It always feels like nice and massaging for their thoracic spine that we very often feel tightness. Going one more time and then returning back to the center. And next position we'll explore is a downward dog. So set your hands shoulder width apart, set your middle finger forward, and then when you're ready, lift your hips off the floor. Maybe you start with a very bent knees, shaking your head, and we are using the downward dog as a counter pose here between the twist. We're creating the traction of the spine. So, and just hold here for another exhale. And then drop the knees down to the floor and just take a look on the camera. I will demonstrate the next one that I want you to do. I want you to do the wrong downward dog toward the right downward dog. So it's a very similar to what we did in a previous position. I want you to think of attacking the tailbone, lifting the tailbone. So we're practicing the pelvic tilt in a downward dog position. So trying to round the lower back while your shoulders are almost not moving. So make sure that you're not moving forward and backward. You're just trying to articulate the lower back. It might be very small movement, but try your best to experiment here. So come into the downward dog and just think of a happy dog, tail up, and the scared dog, tail down. Happy dog, tail up. Scared dog, tail down. Notice how you need to activate the lower abdomen muscles to hide the tailbone down. So a couple of more times to play here, and then when you're ready, just walk forward to the front of the mat, set your feet hip distance, and maybe spend a couple of moments here with a passive fold, slightly creating the stretch on the back of your legs and your spine, and then as slow as possible, we are rolling up into the standing position. Exhale and squeeze your shoulder blades back down here, and in this standing position, I want you to lock your hips with engaged glutes, taking your arms wide, and we're going to twist to the right. So you're not moving your hips with you. Hips are remaining facing the front,
And if you like, you can go again, pulses a little bit. So I want you to make sure hips are not going with you. So maybe your twist is just 10 degrees, so you're almost not twisting here. So see what you can go, just twisting, and then returning back and twist to the other side again. You want to keep your right hip back, and you're twisting only the upper body. It's often very challenging for us to separate their twist of the upper back from their lower back, and return back to the center. And this time, just rotate to the right as far as you can go. So this time you can just really rotate everything. Even your left heel can go off the floor. Maybe even you reach into your left wrist and pull the left wrist back. So creating the spiral with the body. Just notice how that feels a little bit different because you will not lock in the hip. Return back to the center and go to the opposite side. So maybe holding the right wrist with the left hand, pulling it back, rotating and spiraling the whole body. Letting the right hip to go with you. And then return back to the center. So we continue our practice with a couple of sun salutations. So we are on the front of the mat, arms beside the hips, palms face in front, and then with inhale, lift your arms up. And you're already aware how to adjust the pelvis to maintain a neutral position, so you're not collapsing to your lower back. And then exhale, folding forward all the way down, dropping the head down, exhale. Bring the hands on the shins and coming into the half fold. Again, you want to maintain the neutral spine position here. Then touch the floor and step the left foot back. This time we're going to drop the left knee down to the floor for the first lunge. If you need support, you can use the blocks here, pushing the hips forward, creating a little bit of a stretch. And then when you're ready, lift your torso up. So let us have a left hand on the lower back. And remember, I told you most of the lunges we do have a little bit of extension here. So just keep it extended comfortably. And let's take the right arm up. So first is just up toward the ceiling. Bring your gaze up toward the ceiling, and then just continue with the right arm as far as you can go, opening the chest. So you're creating the full possible extension of the spine here. Exhale, pressing the left hip forward with some hip stretch here. And then exhale, tuck your back toe and step into the downward dog. Exhale, lengthening. Remember, we have control of our pelvis, so we want to be in a neutral position, the spinal traction here. And then let's drop the knees down to the floor to step the left foot forward. You're welcome to use the blocks to set yourself here in a comfortable way. Pressing a couple of times here to find the lunge, coming into the lunge. Bring the right hand to your lower back. Just covering this extension of the lower back. Taking the left arm up and reaching up. Pressing the right hip forward. Exhale. Taking another exhale here. And then bringing the hands down to the floor. Tucking the right toes and stepping into the downward dog. Controlling your neutral spine position. Exhale and then look forward and come into plank. So in a plank, you press the floor, you have a strong glutes, you're creating slightly pelvic tilt here, and then drop the knees and come all the way down to the floor. Let's the first one have a hands a little bit forward and wide, maybe like a cactus pose. Maybe you have them on the floor. Have your strong legs and then lift your torso up. Your elbows could stay bent. You don't need to go high. It's just the first spinal extension with the hips locked on the floor. And then exhale, come down. If you feel you have more flexibility in your spine, you can bring the hands a little bit closer to each other, maybe on the corners of the mat. and lift yourself a little bit higher. Maybe this time your elbows come straight, but keep supporting your lower back by squeezing the glutes and even holding the belly button in slightly. And then exhale, come down. The last one, you slide your hands to the sides of the rib cage, keeping elbows backward, pointing the toes, strong legs, you lift. Maybe you stay here, maybe you stay here, maybe you go all the way into upward dog, taking your thighs off the floor. So just check where you need to be, and then when you're ready, find your way into the downward dog. So after those deep back bends, you might need to have a little bit longer downward dog. You want to set yourself nicely into the downward dog, into the traction of the spine. Take an exhale and then look forward and walk to the front of the mat. And hang here for the moment before you bring the hands below the knees, lifting the chest, going into the neutral position, and then from the hips, unfold all the way up. Inhale, exhale, bring the arms on the sides of the hips. Let's go one more. Inhale, lift the arms up. Hinging from the hips, exhale, folding all the way down. Hands on the shins, lift the chest halfway. And then stepping into the lunge, this time keeping the knee off the floor, bring the hands on the hips. And just take a moment to set your position in a comfortable way. So let us again have a right hand on the lower back. So just check how you're extending here, but you're not overextending. So you're not collapsing to your lower back. You're assisting this extension from the abdomen muscles, and then taking the left arm up. The same position that we did with the knee down, but this time you need to use your back leg much more. And this is what creates the support as you go into the extension here in the upper back. Hold here for another exhale. And then when you're ready, coming into the downward dog. Take as much time as you need to set yourself back into the downward dog. Head between the arms, long spine. Exhale. Then let's bring the right foot a little bit closer to the midline and stepping the left foot forward into lunge. Again, take your time. If you need to drop the knee, step and then lift the knee is fine. Bring the hands on the hips, lift the torso up. Have a moment to settle into a stable position. Bring the left hand to your lower back. Take the right arm up. Open the chest. Hold here. Keep pressing the palm back if that's available for you. If your shoulder cooperate. If not, your arm could be in front. So you're only working with the mobility of the shoulder. On exhale, bring the hands on the floor and step into downward dog. Again, take as much time as you need to settle your downward dog. Remember, the downward dog is the position that we use for the spinal traction. So all the vertebrae are just released down by the gravity, by pulling the head down. On inhale, come into plank. Hold the plank, so just think of your vertebrae is parallel to the floor, and then drop the knees and come all the way down. Exhale. Of this time, bring the arms on the sides of the hips, palms facing the ceiling. And then from here, engage your legs. Lift your legs just a little bit off the floor, straight knees, then lift your chest off the floor. Maintain the neck neutral, and if it's available, you can take your arms off the floor. But you want to feel how the back muscles, all the muscles of the posterior chain, are pulling this body off the floor in the front. So creating this arch. And then exhale, come down. Bring the hands on the sides of the ribcage and press yourself into the child pose. Rounding spine, so just a moment of the release here, moment of relaxation. Just do a contour pose of the back bend. Exhale, and then when you're ready, you're coming into the downward dog again. Exhale. On next inhale, look forward, walk to the front of the mat. Bring your hands on the shins, lift the chest halfway, and then unfold all the way up. Inhale, exhale, bring the arms on both sides of the hips, taking the breath. And let us step into the lunge. So comfortable lunge. here, and using the back leg, back glute to support. And then we'll interlace the hands, touching the sternum with the thumbs, and we'll twist to the right. So when you twist into the right, you definitely have a limited twist here because your hips will be now truly locked with a position facing the front. So just notice that. And then come back to the center, and let's try to twist to the other side. So your left hip might want to rotate even, right? So, but keep your back ankle straight. And now let's drop the left heel. So you're rotating completely to the left side. So you're in a down warrior two position here. And then let's extend the arms into the warrior two and bring your gaze to the right middle finger. Check your front knee. We have a tendency to allow the knee to fall in. Make sure your inner thigh is controlling the knee. Hold. From this position, drop the left hand to the left thigh. Take your right arm up, maybe palm facing the back, and go as far back as it feels right for you. Strong legs, so the very stable position of the legs. Take an exhale. Let's now bring the right elbow to the right thigh, and make sure before you're going to continue, you're opening the chest toward the left side of the body, maybe even having the left hand on the hips, opening and looking up. From here, you can take the left arm up. This is already progression, and you can extend the right arm inside the right knee. Holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's face the front foot and step forward. Just rest here in a collapsed fold, very relaxed fold, stretching the legs, catching the breath, and then very slowly roll up into standing. Let's practice this on the other side. So let us step the right foot back into the lunge, then interlacing the hands and touching the sternum with their fingers. And when you're ready, when you're stable, you twist to the left. So twisting just the shoulders above the hips. Then returning back to the center and twisting to the right. So first we are keeping the back leg straight, back ankle straight, and then dropping the right heel. Open yourself to the right side and extend your arms into the warrior two. When you're ready, bring your gaze to the front, middle finger. So your left arm is in front, shoulders above the hips. Hold here. Then drop the right hand to the right thigh. Take your left arm up toward the ceiling and just go into the back bend as far as it feels correct, as far as it feels stable for you, opening the whole left side of the body. Then let's bring the left elbow to the left thigh. Bring the right hand to your low back. So use this right hand like a ground in your right leg. The progression here is to take the right arm up and then progressing with the left elbow inside the left knee. Hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's release and step forward. Hang here for the moment. Just feel a bit of a release of the back muscles and then go vertebrae by vertebrae up into standing position. Exhale. Okay, we're preparing for some balance poses. So let us interlace the fingers and keep your index fingers released and lift the arms overhead, maybe pressing it into the head, and then bring the body weight to the right foot. Lift your left foot, and then just start coming into the side bend as far as you can go. Hold, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back. Release the arms for the moment. Shake your shoulders, and we will take the arms overhead again. Interlace the fingers, opening the index fingers. Bring the body weight to the left foot, lifting the right leg off the floor and lowering a little bit into the side bend, holding 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming back, and release the arms. Exhale. Let us bring the body weight to the right foot and lift your left knee off the floor, so you are with this hip flexion. You are in a neutral position, so don't lean back. Check your hands on your lower back if you need to. Interlace the hands, touch the sternum here with the thumbs, and twist to the left as far as you can go. Hold, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Return back to the center. Realign yourself on the center, and then release. Shake your legs. Bring the body weight to the left foot. Lift the right knee off the floor. Hold here, controlling that you're not leaning back, using your glutes, especially left glute. Interlace the hands on the front and twist to the right. Hold, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to the center and release. Shake your legs. Let us approach the front of the mat for one more flow. Close your eyes and maybe catch the breath. Maybe those balance pose took you off your steady breathing here. And let's go. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, folding forward, releasing the hand. Bring the hands on the shins, coming into the half fold. Touching the floor and stepping the left foot back into the lunge. Inhaling into the warrior one. Using the back leg for support, front knee for balance. Using the abdomen muscles to support this, a slight back bend in the lumbar spine. On exhale, bring the hands down to the floor and step into plank. Try not to lift your hips. Push the floor, engage the glutes, then drop the knees, come all the way down, exhale. Keep the hands on the sides of the ribcage, roll the shoulders back, pointed toes, strong legs, press the hands and lift the chest up. Neutral position for the neck. Then tuck your toes, exhale, come into the downward dog. Shake the head. Exhaling here. Then bring the right foot closer to the midline. Stepping the left foot forward into lunge. Bring the hands on the hips. Lift the torso up. Using the back leg for support. When you're ready, lift the arms up into the warrior one. Holding. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the hands on the floor and step again into the plank. Push the floor, squeeze the glutes. And then drop the knees down. Exhale, come down to the floor. Hands on the sides of the rib cage. Point the toes and lift the chest. And then come into the child pose. Maybe taking the arms on the sides of the hips, rounding the back. Exhaling here. On next inhale, lift yourself up and come into the seated position, having one block with you. Seated position with the wide position of the legs. having the block in front. So if you're finding that you are rounded in the lower back, maybe you need to elevate your hips with a couple of layers of a support blanket here, but because we would like to be in a neutral position. And let us hold the block above the head, like you want to push the block up. You can hold this with the tip of the fingers, lengthening here, keeping your feet flexed and slightly externally rotated hips here. Lengthening, so creating huge traction of the spine using your own body strength. And then release. Let us just round the spine and rest a little bit. We're going to do it one more time. So ideally you want to have your elbows straight. So let us go a little bit different into this position. I want you to hold the block with the straight arms in front. And pull yourself forward. So come a little bit into the hip hinge to start with, and then start lifting the arms. So maybe you're going to stop here. Maybe you will be going with a block over the head. And you pull yourself up while the chest pulled forward a little bit. So you're coming into the fold. And again, trying to create a traction of the spine using your own muscles. Pull, 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 pull. And then let's again just rest here, rounding the spine and release. So let us come back into, so now you know how it should feel when your spine is elongated. So try to come into the as straight as possible position, interlacing the hands on the front of the chest, aligning chin and the thumbs, and then twist to the right. You might be limited here. Why you're limited here is because your legs are locking your hips up. There's a true rotation of their thoracic spine only here. And then from here, extend your arms maybe to the side, palms facing the front, and maybe twist a little bit to the right. Just a little bit of a pulses. And then return back to the center, maybe releasing the arms for a moment. When you're ready, interlace the hands and you twist to the left. So into the left twist, you're maintaining the tall spine. So like it's still pulled up toward the ceiling. Hold here, feet flexed, toes out. So slight external rotation of the hips. Then extend your arms. And maybe pulse a little bit. And then return back to the center. And from here, just slide your block forward. Maybe you letting your forearms rest on the block around the spine. Let your spine to come into natural flexion here. Feel some stretch in the back of your neck as you just dropping the head down. Very passive stretch. Exhale. And then we will be using the two blocks to come into supported fish. So if it's comfortable for you, you would like to keep your block into the high level, and you will be placing the block on the spinal column, coming all the way into the fish pose, using the second block to support your forehead. This position might be too much for your spine, so you might have a flat block and a different position for the head. What is important that the low edge of the block sit not on the waist area. Your block should be between the shoulder blades, and then depend on the comfort for the neck, you bring in the block behind the back of the head. So make sure you elevate the chest. So we are working on the
thoracic spine extension, and then taking your arms wide. So we will be holding this as the yin pose. That means we need to be comfortable here, and we're using our body weight, we're using the gravity to create some extension of their upper back, as well as creating the stretch for the frontal line of the body. Your shoulders would be also forced to go into external rotation, so use whatever feels right for your arms. On the sides of the hips, T position, or maybe you like to go into Y position and create some stretch here. Whatever works better for you, you just play with the arms position, and we'll be holding that for another 2 minutes. Make sure you're focusing on your breath and not allowing your mind to take it away from the mat. Allow the arms, hips, legs to receive some sense of gravity pulling your body down, while the block is pushing the chest up toward the ceiling. We'll have here 5 more exhales. The next exhale, you might bend one knee to help you to roll on the side to remove the block from under the head and under the spine, and just rest a moment with a flat spine. Just feel how the thoracic spine return back into the normal alignment here on the floor. And then we're going to be practicing the supported bridge that I'm asking you to take one block and place it under the hips. And this time you lifting the hips and placing the block under the sacrum. So make sure again, it's not under the waist area. You're trying to keep your feet hip distance, your knees hip distance, and you're relaxing the abdomen area here, taking the arms to the side. So if this position that I'm showing right now is too high for you, you're welcome to go to the lower position of the block. But for most of us, this position will work. And the goal here is to create the traction of the lumbar spine. So the area of the lower back is just collapsing toward the floor, while you may be even trying to cultivate a little bit of a pelvic tilt here. Make sure that your neck is neutral. So you shouldn't be in position where you chin tucked toward the chest. Adjust the head and shoulders to create the neutral position, and we'll be holding that for 2 minutes as well. Again, using the body weight, using the gravity as their help for us to release those lower back. can have your eyes closed and focus on just exhales, letting the arms, shoulders, hips and feet heavy release toward the floor. Taking 5 more exhales here. We will be lifting the hips and taking the block off. And definitely feels like bringing the knees to the chest and rocking from side to side. And here I'm inviting you to practice any release twist that you like to. So arms could be in T position and you just dropping the knees to the right side. You can go a little bit more intense that we started, or a same one, or anything that feels right for you. You can hold your left knee with the right hand. You can turn the head toward the left. Exploring one more time the ability of the spine to twist. After the all articulation that we practiced today, after building awareness of a real mobility of your spine. So use the gravity here on your side to take the leg across the body. But you're trying, what is most important, you're trying to keep your left shoulder blade on the floor all the time. Taking exhale here, and then returning back to the center, aligning the hips and the head back to the midline, and then going to the other side. Again, your choice of the leg variation, whatever feels right for you. Maybe turning head to the right. Maybe feeling some stretch along the glute and hamstring, depending on the position that you choose to practice. Taking another exhale here. And returning back to the center, adjusting the hips. And then lifting the legs and arms into the air and shaking them. Shaking them really hard for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And drop the legs down. Extend your heels to the corners of the mat. Extend your arms comfortably away from the body. If you need to support your lower back, you can bend your knees, maybe adjust a little bit to adjust the pelvis. You can support the back of your head if you needed to support the neck into the neutral position. Anything that feels right for you, please do so. And we will practice Shavasana without forcing the breath into any certain pattern. You're just allowing the breath to be natural in this moment. And one more time, use a couple of exhales to release your spine. Again, visualizing your spine as the soft rope with knots that just are going down toward the earth. Relax all the muscles of the back of the body and relax all the muscles of the front of the body. You don't need to support your spine in this moment. The floor, the earth creates the support. You're just allowing the spine to rest. Allowing yourself mindfully do nothing. And maybe this is the hardest asana of today's practice. When you're ready to move the fingers and toes, when you're ready to add circles and wrists and ankles, go ahead to add more movements till you're ready to roll on one side, and maybe taking a moment on the side before you're coming into seated position. Set your cross-leg position if that's working for you. Let your arms rest on the knees to start with, elongate through the spine, and then bring the hands in front of your chest. Admit the end of the practice and thank yourself for being able to be on the mat. Take the positive energy, and definitely you will feel so with the spinal articulation that we practiced today. Take it with you to be a guide for the rest of the day. Namaste.